From our studio in Georgetown, this is the TV Delmarva Channel 14 News at 4.
Good day, Delmarva. Walt Marcus here filling in for Rob Petrie on TV Delmarva Channel 14 News. Straight ahead, Delaware Attorney General Kathy Jennings has announced a $145 million settlement with TurboTax. Delaware's U.S. Senator Chris Coons speaks out against the possibility of the U.S. Supreme Court overturning Roe v. Wade, and Delaware Governor John Carney proclaims May 2022 as Trauma Awareness Month. These stories and more coming up, but weather first with Hunter Outen.
Well, good Friday, Delmarva. We've seen a little bit of precipitation across the region this morning, mostly in areas just north of Dover, all the way back over towards the northwestern portions of Maryland. Here in Georgetown, it's been fairly dry for the most part. We did see a little bit of some showers pass through later on this morning, but going into the afternoon hours, we're getting a break once again. Taking a live look outside of TV Delmarva Studios here in Georgetown. We got the cloud cover. We have a few blue skies trying to show up here and there, but we also had some comfortable temperatures too. Currently 62 degrees here in Georgetown. Take a look at satellite and radar. There is our storm system beginning to develop in the Tennessee Valley, and we got a plethora of severe thunderstorm warnings stretching from Tennessee to the Carolinas. We'll have to watch out for those going later on into this evening. Once they start moving into Virginia, we could be looking at some strong thunderstorms for our Virginia counties here on Delmarva and Accomack and Northampton counties, and a lot more rain is on the way, including an increase in those winds. And the big story this weekend, coastal flooding is in the forecast. Now, we do have some weather hazards going into this afternoon. Here in Sussex County, we have a coastal flood watch in effect for this weekend. It will likely turn into a coastal flood warning beginning tomorrow for the threat of, you guessed it, coastal flooding, all thanks to the very strong northeast winds and the rough seas that we're going to see over the weekend time period. We could be looking at tidal gauges getting up to moderate flood standards, and I expect these to probably expand to Kent and Worcester counties by tomorrow. But we also have a flood watch for areas in northwestern Maryland. They're going to be seeing the most rainfall out of this, upwards to about 3 inches. That could be looking at some flooding concerns going all the way into Sunday night. Temperatures across the region, though, nice and comfortable. 64 in Salisbury, 63 in Pocomoke City, 59 in Ocean City, 65 for Easton, 59 in Dover, 60 for Centerville, 58 for Wilmington, and currently 57 in Newark. Take a look at dew points. We're starting to see an increase in those dew points. No surprise with a storm system on the way. Dew points currently in the mid and upper 50s, and expect these to turn into the 60s once we get into the overnight hours tonight. Winds, though, calm for now, but generally from the east and southeast, sustained between 5 and 10 miles per hour, but we are seeing some wind gusts get over 15 and even near 20. Like right now, 17 miles per hour in Georgetown, 13 for Salisbury, 17 for Ocean City, 20 miles per hour in Dover, and currently gusting to 12 in Centerville. Now, we will have an increase in that precipitation tonight, as well as the winds, the chance of some isolated thunderstorms, and the biggest story, that coastal flooding this weekend. I have all the details regarding this very unusual late season nor'easter here in just a little bit.
Attorney General Kathy Jennings has secured over $400,000 for low-income Delawareans from the owner of TurboTax. The settlement comes after a case was launched after TurboTax reportedly deceived Delaware consumers into paying for tax services that should have been free. As a result of a multi-state agreement, Intuit will pay $141 million in restitution to millions of consumers across the nation who were unfairly charged. In addition, Intuit must suspend TurboTax's free ad campaign that lured consumers with promises of free tax preparation services only to deceive them into paying for services. An investigation into Intuit began after ProPublica reported that the company was using deceptive digital tactics to steer low-income consumers toward its commercial products and away from federally supported free tax services. The multi-state investigation found that Intuit engaged in several deceptive and unfair trade practices that limited consumers' participation to the IRS Free File program. All 50 states and the District of Columbia have signed on to the agreement. Delaware's U.S. Senator Chris Coons spoke out against the possibility of the U.S. Supreme Court overturning Roe v. Wade after a draft opinion was leaked earlier this week from inside the court. The opinion, which showed the court's conservative majority agreeing to overturn Roe v. Wade, was leaked Monday by an unidentified source within the court. The leaked document was published by Politico and presents an unprecedented breach in confidentiality to the nation's highest court. Senator Coons took to social media, slamming the opinion in a statement saying, "Reversing the long-settled protections in Roe is outrageous. Every woman in America deserves the chance to make their own reproductive health care choices. Should this decision become law, roughly half the states in our country will make all or nearly all abortions illegal, leading to gross inequities in health care access. This country cannot return to a time of unsafe, back alley abortions. It's more important than ever that we work to make sure women broadly have access to reproductive health services." That's according to Chris Coons. An investigation has been launched by the court to find out how it was leaked and who is responsible. A Felton man was arrested after police say he was found with drugs and charged with DUI. Police say 37-year-old Ramon Solomon was arrested for vehicle theft, DUI, and other charges following a crash investigation that occurred Tuesday morning. According to Delaware State Police, the incident occurred shortly before 5 a.m. Tuesday when troopers responded to Willow Grove Road east of Mount Olive Cemetery Road in Camden regarding a disabled Toyota Corolla. Troopers made contact with the driver and identified him as Ramon Solomon. When police made contact with Solomon, the trooper observed signs of impairment and a DUI investigation ensued. Solomon was subsequently taken into custody at the scene without incident. A search of Solomon led to the discovery of 2 MDMA pills. Further investigation revealed Solomon had allegedly stolen the Corolla from the Royal Farms on DuPont Highway earlier that morning. Police say Solomon also struck and damaged another vehicle at the Royal Farms before fleeing the scene. He was arrested, arraigned, and later released on his own recognizance. Governor John Carney has signed a proclamation declaring May 2022 as Trauma Awareness Month to recognize efforts of trauma-informed practices across the state of Delaware. This year, Trauma Awareness Month includes a series of educational webinars and recognition of Compassionate Champion Awards recipients. The Family Service Cabinet Council and TMD are highlighting a variety of virtual events throughout May, including facilitated webinars each week for Delawareans to learn about the current state of trauma in Delaware and trauma-related topics. In October 2018, Governor John Carney signed an executive order to make Delaware a trauma-informed state and to address the impact of trauma at different points in a person's life. Coming up, nominations are open for the 2022 Young Environmentalist Awards. More details straight ahead. Keep it here. DNREC is looking for Delaware students who are working to make a difference for the environment. Teachers, classmates, club or group leaders, family members, and others are encouraged to nominate students who made an environmental difference for the 2022 Young Environmentalist of the Year Awards. Nominations must be based on actions or projects which have taken place between July 1st, 2021 and June 30th, 2022. The Young Environmentalist program honors Delaware students whose actions have helped protect, restore, and enhance Delaware's natural resources. Nominations will be accepted through Thursday, June 30th. A winner will be chosen from each of the following categories: elementary, middle, and high school grades. Each category winner will receive a certificate, gift card, and prize pack in recognition of his or her contribution to the community. It's looking like we're in store for soaking rain overnight tonight, with breezy conditions as well. We'll get a preview of your pinpoint weather forecast with Hunter Outen.
We are patiently awaiting the arrival of our long-duration late-season nor'easter moving into the region tonight. Expect heavy rainfall, gusty winds, scattered strong thunderstorms, and the primary threat being coastal flooding. These conditions will continue throughout the entire weekend, but the good news is we have much drier and warmer weather ahead next week. Now don't go anywhere, because when we come back, I have all the details regarding this nor'easter here on TV Delmarva, Channel 14 News. Alrighty, Delmarva, let's get right into the pinpoint forecast, because we got a lot to talk about going into this weekend, all thanks to a very unusual late season nor'easter that we are going to be dealing with. So let's take a look at some weather headlines beginning with this weekend. No surprise, heavy rain, gusty winds will begin tonight, lasting all the way into the overnight hours on Sunday. So we're looking at a very long duration event pretty much for this entire weekend, but that's not even the biggest threat. The biggest threat is going to be that coastal flooding with a very persistent northeast wind throughout the entire weekend, gusting as high as 45 miles per hour, and the very large seas out there, no surprise. So we're going to be dealing with some coastal flooding, especially along our inland bay locations. But at least the good news is, once we get into next week, though, we're going to be drying out, and we're going to be looking at a big warm-up, too, getting well above average once again into the 70s and maybe by the 80s towards next weekend. Tonight, though, this is where the rain begins. Periods of rain, and that rain will definitely be heavy at times too. And watch out for some areas of some scattered thunderstorms mixed in as well, especially for the southern portions of the shore, which some of these storms could be on the strong side, which could be leading to some enhancement of some damaging winds and maybe an isolated tornado for the Virginia counties only. Overnight lows 52 to 56 degrees, and the winds will be on the increase from the east between 10 and 20 miles per hour. Take a look at Futurecast. Rest of the overnight hours into Saturday night. This is 6 p.m. this evening. We're getting a break from that precipitation during the mid-afternoon hours just before sunset. Temperatures in the lower 60s. It's once we get into 10 o'clock tonight, that's when we're going to start to see the very heavy rainfall beginning to move in with that embedded thunderstorms too, keeping temperatures right around 60 degrees. Have to watch out for some areas of severe weather in southeastern Virginia, which our tornadic energy helicity index has been fairly high in that region too, around the Richmond and Virginia Beach area. But the good news is, if there's any tornado threat, it's going to be on the southern shore, if it happens to survive going across the Chesapeake Bay and running into a more stable air mass. 1 o'clock in the morning, the bulk of that heavy precipitation moves out of the way. We still got some leftover areas of some showers and some thunderstorms. But going into tomorrow, it's going to be a little bit interesting, because we're stuck between two systems. We got a low to the west and a new one developing off of our coast. So we're going to be looking at a period of some dry conditions, maybe some isolated showers. And then by the afternoon hours, we could see the sunshine for areas just south of Salisbury inside of this dry slot. Because once we get past that and that coastal low begins to take over during the evening hours, we're going to be looking at a return of the precipitation, much colder air, and those winds will be increasing throughout the overnight hours. And then going into midnight on Sunday, the rain is returning for the southern portions of the shore. Temperatures are fairly chilly, around 50 degrees, and this is where we start seeing those wind gusts as high as 45 miles per hour. Rainfall forecast over the next couple of days. We could be looking at widespread areas of 1 to 3 inches, with the highest amounts over towards areas of northwestern Maryland. That's why they have a flood watch in effect going into this weekend. But generally here on Delmarva, getting fairly close to that 2-inch mark, all depending on if we get an enhancement of thunderstorms during the evening hours tonight. Saturday forecast overall, periods of rain, much cooler conditions in store. 55 to 60 degrees. The winds will be increasing even more, especially once we get into the afternoon hours. From the northeast, 15 to 20 miles per hour, with gusts as high as 40. And we start to see those coastal flooding concerns begin to develop, especially tomorrow night. Periods of rain, chilly night ahead. 46 to 50 degrees. The winds will be even stronger. Northeast, 20 to 25 miles per hour sustained, with gusts as high as 45. And that high tide cycle during the overnight hours is going to be the biggest issue, and where we're going to see the highest levels of that inundation, potentially 2, maybe even 3 feet above normal. Marine conditions going into Saturday, beginning with the Atlantic. We got rain and wind, 57 degrees, very gusty conditions from the northeast, 30 to 40 miles per hour. And take a look at those seas, 6 to 12 feet, especially getting closer to 12 feet in the overnight hours with those coastal flooding concerns. Delaware Bay, rain and wind, 55 degrees, winds from the northeast at 20 to 30 miles per hour with seas of 2 to 3 feet with coastal flooding concerns as well. And then to Chesapeake Bay, rain likely, 57 degrees, winds from the northeast at 15 to 20 miles per hour with seas of 2 to 3 feet. And you guessed it, more coastal flooding concerns pretty much along all waterways here on Delmarva. Sunday, though, we're going to take a look at Mother's Day, and unfortunately, it's not going to be a pretty one either. We got rounds of showers, a chilly day ahead, too. Only 50 to 54 degrees, 15 to 20 degrees below average for this time of year. Winds still going to be very strong from the northeast, 20 to 25 miles per hour, with gusts as high as 45, and we're still going to be dealing with that coastal flooding during the morning hours. I want to take you a broad look at the whole dynamics with this system going into this weekend, beginning with 6 o'clock this evening. We have one area of low pressure over towards areas of Kentucky, and we have another one that's trying to develop in areas of North Carolina. Going into tomorrow morning, though, we still got that one primary low right over the Appalachian Mountains, but we're starting to see a development of that coastal low, and especially by the evening hours. A new low is now formed just off of the coast of Hatteras. We're starting to see that onshore flow kick in, but it's once we get into Sunday morning, though, we're going to see a long stretch of northeasterly flow. Wind gusts 45 miles per hour, and this storm is just going to sit here for a couple days and just meander around and keep continuing that nasty onshore flow. That's why we're so concerned with the coastal flooding. Now, speaking of coastal flooding concerns, I want to narrow down the locations of where I think had the best shot of seeing that coastal flooding. First off, the Indian River Bay region, notorious for seeing coastal flooding. Oak Orchard, Massey's Landing, the Back Bay areas of Dewey Beach along Route 1. You know, those typical areas through there that flood all the time. Not only mentioned the oceanfront locations, you got Lewis, areas of Rehoboth Beach, Bethany Beach on Pennsylvania Avenue is very typical for that coastal flooding. In the Delaware Bay region, you got Bowers Beach, Slaughter Beach, Prime Hook, Broadkill, and even downtown Lewis just over the canal. So if you live in these areas, be prepared to start seeing some coastal flooding beginning tomorrow night into Sunday morning. Now let's take a look at that extended outlook, because the only chances of rain in the next several days is going to be this weekend, dealing with that nor'easter. But the good news is going into next week, though, we are going to be looking at a warming trend, and things will be drying out, finally getting back into the 60s and 70s by the end of the week.
Delaware State Police are holding a seminar for teen driving safety. More details on the way. Don't go away. Delaware State Police will be hosting several seminars across Sussex County in May, and will focus on teen driving safety and education. Each seminar will have a member of the Collision Reconstruction Unit, Troop 7 Administration, a community outreach officer, and a representative from the Victim Services Unit in attendance. There will be no cost to attend, and each seminar is open to students, parents, guardians, new drivers, and anyone else who would like to learn about and discuss safe driving practices. The dates and locations of these seminars are as follows. May the 9th, Monday, it'll be Sussex Central High School. That's 26026 Patriots Way, Georgetown. Wednesday, May 18th, Sussex Tech. That's at 17099 County Seat Highway, Georgetown. And on Monday, May the 23rd, the Delaware State Police Troop, that's Troop 7, 19444 Mulberry Knoll Road in Lewis, Delaware.
Weather Classroom is sponsored by No Nonsense Office Machines, committed to providing quality products and services with over 15 years of experience here in Sussex County. All right, ladies and gentlemen, today's weather lesson, we will be talking about the differences between flood advisories, watches, and warnings. We have 4 different categories for this, so let's begin with flood advisories, which means be aware. A flood advisory is issued when a specific weather event that is forecast to occur may become a nuisance. A flood advisory is issued when flooding is not expected to be bad enough to issue a warning, however, it may cause a significant inconvenience. And if caution is not exercised, it could lead to situations that may threaten life and/or property. Now we have flood watches, which means be prepared. A flood watch is issued when conditions are favorable for a specific hazardous weather event to occur. A flood watch is issued when conditions are favorable for flooding, but it does not mean flooding will occur, but it's a good possibility that the forecast suggests that flooding may be an issue. Then we got flood warnings, which means take action. A flood warning is issued when the hazardous weather event is imminent or already happening. A flood warning is issued when flooding is imminent or is occurring at this time. And then finally we have flash flood warnings, which also means take action. A flash flood warning is issued when a flash flood is imminent or occurring, and if you are in a flood-prone area, move immediately to high ground. A flash flood is a sudden violent flood that can take from minutes to hours to develop, and it's even possible to experience a flash flood in areas not receiving rainfall at all, but just happen to be downstream from a river or a creek.
Well, that about does it for us today, Delmarva. Be sure to follow us on Facebook at TV Delmarva and on our website, tvdelmarva.com, for real-time news and weather updates. And while you're there, be sure to sign our petition calling on the major cable providers to carry TV Delmarva on their platform so we can provide this kind of local programming to all of Delmarva. Until next time, I'm Walt Barkus reporting for TV Delmarva Channel 14 News.